Hello, I'm Leona Dooley, and this is Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, where we work hard, we love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. This week in the kitchen, we're going to be spending time together as family, as a community, where we are going to be building wonderful relationships with our family members, with our friends, and bringing good times and memories together. This week in the kitchen, we're also going to be preparing for Memorial Day. So don't waste a moment. Be there every night in the kitchen. Good evening. Tonight for dinner, we are having some crock pot beef sliders with pepperoncinos, and I have a jar of Mount Olive pepperoncinos that I used some of the juice out of there, beef broth, threw it in the crock pot and cooked the beef. And so I did it over the weekend, so now it's warming up so that we can use it tonight. I have underneath of my paper towel here, I have some lettuce, some green lettuce that I'm going to add to the plate just for color on each plate. And I decided to do green leaf just because everybody doesn't like iceberg, and some people like romaine, but I thought, well, let's try a little green leaf and see what's up. Now, you know the big guy is a tomato person, so there must be some tomatoes on this plate. So I am going to slice some tomatoes. I'm going to slice them, I think I'll do it lengthwise, into little thin slices. Just so it looks nice on the plate. And I'm going, these are little Roma tomatoes, and I'm going to fan out. I think I'll give them a little bit, turn them that way, and fan them out. I'm going to put that back piece back there just because it looks better turned that way. Alright, so that's all fanned out. Now I need one for my plate. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to slice it lengthwise very thin. And I'm going to take this one, bring it to the back, fan it out, and I'm going to put that on my plate, just as I did on that one. So I'm fanning those out so that they look nice. Now, this is the broccoli slaw. I cheated, bought the bagged broccoli slaw. I've added in a handful of raisins. I took one apple that I had left over. I grated it and put it in here just to give it just a tiny bit of sweetness. Used a little Hellmann's, just enough to wet the slaw, and put in a sprinkle of apple cider vinegar and a dash of salt. So it is ready. So let me get a better spoon. In fact, I think I'll use my measuring cup because it's going to come out a little better. So I'm going to put it in here, pressing it down as we go. And you can decide on what size cup you want. And then, voila, there's one. Now remember, for me, I'm cooking for two. So I actually only used half the bag. So, tonight, anyway. The next time I may add some pecans and do something else different with it. But this is tonight. This is what we're doing. My little cup. I'm going to add it to my lettuce. And voila, there that is. I'm going to put that over in the sink. I had a little bit of lettuce left. I'm going to put those there. I'll put those up in a bit. So I'm going to clean up just a little bit and I'll bring you back. Now, I have you at the stove and my beef has been simmering, covered with its peppers, and I added a little Worcestershire sauce in there and some beef broth because that's what was in the crock pot. And I just wanted to kind of moisten it again because, you know, after it sits in the refrigerator, it gets just a tiny bit dry. I didn't want it wet, but I wanted the beef to continue to break up as it should. And what I am going to do, I have some what's called little sweet party rolls. And they're these cute little square rolls that I'm going to use tonight for our sliders. They're the sweet party rolls. These are delicious. They're by Cobblestone, and they are just so good. Now, I'm going to fix them, and I'm going to back you up just a little bit. So you can see, here's our party rolls. I'm going to break them apart. I'm going to cut each of the rolls open so that they'll all be here. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put the oven on low, and that way they can stay warm. Put a few on the plate, and then if the big guy wants more, it's nice and warm and ready to go. Now, some people like cheese. You could do a pepper jack cheese or whatever kind of cheese you like, provolone, if you wanted to put cheese on them. But I think of this kind of like a French dip in that it is nice and warm. I don't really need the cheese. For those of us who like cheese, and I love cheese, so I'm going to take a spoonful of my beef. I'm going to let some of that juice run off because I don't want it too juicy. I'm going to fill this baby up. Notice a little pepper got in there. That's okay. I'm going to fill him up. And I would suggest you do at least one pepper per sandwich. That just kind of gives each sandwich a little flavor. You could decide on how much you want to stuff it. We kind of like ours stuffed. To be honest with you, I'd rather have more of the stuffing than the bread. But, you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to put this in. And it is nice and moist. Here's my pepper. Going in, going in. All right. Oh, it smells so good. Okay. There's our beef, our pepper. Got a little juice. Au jus, as they say. My pepper, my beef, a little au jus, and what I did, I cut the tops off the peppers so that all of that juice would go down into the gravy down underneath. And just add more and more flavor to what we're doing. Now the big guy may come back and get extra peppers just because he likes it that way. But for me, 1 pepper is enough. So I'm going to put a little more pepper in there. I think I'm going to add a little juice. Now, you know, you could. Now, you know, I'm from the South, so I'm a little country girl. You could put these on your plate, come back, get some of that juice, and run it over your bread. That would be too good. Now, obviously, for those of us who may be watching our waist, we may want to do 1 bun and put filling on both sides and just leave it open. You could certainly do that, and it'll still be the same, still taste the same, but you'll just have less bread. Now, for a dinner for 2, depending upon whether or not the big guy comes back, we probably have enough to have a little bit later in the week for lunch. So this worked out perfectly. So guys, dinner is about to be served. Let's get to it. All right, I've got my plate ready, and I am going to take a bite because everything's nice and hot. All of the juice has had a chance to kind of soak into that bread. Oh man, this is good. It's got a little kick to it, if you like kick. Now, one thing about pepperoncinis, keep this in mind. You're thinking, oh my goodness, it's so hot. But the thing of it is that pepperoncinos, when you purchase them, come in various heat temperatures. You can get mild, you can get medium, or of course, you can get hot. I did not get hot. I got the medium. And to be honest with you, this is spicy enough for me. So guys, I don't know about you, but I'm getting ready to sit down to dinner. So let's have a blessed evening at our kitchen table. See you tomorrow in the kitchen with Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme. Yummy. Friends, tonight we are going to have an, well, not so much a skillet dinner, but a sheet pan dinner. We're going to have a spatchcock turkey. That's where you butterfly the turkey. It's going to be cooked in juices with orange and beets and onions and sweet potatoes, a touch of brown sugar. And then when we serve it, it's going to be served over a bed of rice. I may actually decide to add some peas in there just for a little extra green. But some of the green actually is going to come from the leaves of the beets. They're going to be placed in there as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So first I have my onion. I'm going to get my onion. I'm actually going to cut it into fourths. And then cut it into half, then cut the halves into 4 each so that we have 8 parts. I'm going to do the same with the sweet potato. And the beets, I'll take care of those. I have 3 beets, and that's going to be enough for us. So let's get started. All right, I'm going to bring you down a little closer so you can see that I have the onions and the sweet potato. The onions, I'm going to first cut in half and cut each of the halves in half. Okay, that gives us 4. Then I'm going to turn it and cut it once right there. And I'm going to I want to leave those together so when they're in the pan, they're going to go in just like that. So that's half, cut the half in half, and that half in half, turn it, and cut. Now I'm going to see if I can do the same thing. I have cut this in half. This is our sweet potato. I'm going to give it a chop in half. And because they're cut a little strange, it's not going to cut perfectly. But I'm going to kind of cut it on a diagonal. And if it looks like the pieces, like this one's pretty big, so I'm actually going to give it one more chop. Those that look too large, then you're going to want to cut one more time because, and that's mainly in the bend as you're dealing with the bend of the sweet potato. So I'm going to put these in the tray. I have my pan, and my pan you'll see is drizzled with sunflower oil. So I'm going to place the onions. Place those in around the pan. If they fall apart, it's okay. But, you know, you can try. That's what I'm doing. We're trying. Because we want it to look pretty. I want to sprinkle my sweet potatoes in. I want the color. Okay, I'm going to set that off to the side. Let's work on the next one. And then I'm going to cut, maybe not quite so wide this time. There we go, those are pretty good. That one there, and that's there. So they're all pretty much about the same size. So I'm gonna sprinkle those into the pan. Now we're gonna have to season these, and we'll take care of that in just a moment. I'm also going to take out and wash. I have some fresh beets that I want to use, and I'm going to put those over in the water, get those rinsed off, and once I do that, I'll bring you back. Okay, now you may not have worked with beets before, but what you're going to do, remember, since beets grow in the ground, the first thing we have to do is to cut the little tap, I guess you call it a tap root, off, and then I'm going to cut just below the leaves, so you'll see where they're cut right there. Now I'm going to take my vegetable peeler and I'm going to actually peel these, and that's because they're pretty dirty and you want them clean. Let's face it, they've been in the ground. And remember, the beets are pretty messy just because of the color, but man, that color is so good for your body. It's very healthy. Beets are very, very healthy. Now, as I finish these, I'm going to rinse them in some cold water and sit it off to the side in a pan. So that's one. And remember, I'm keeping the greens. I'll do one more for you. Okay, I'm cutting there. Put him over there. Cut the root off. And we're going to peel. I actually love smoothies made with beet juice, where you use pure beets, lots of greens, lots of orange juice. Oh, so good. And very refreshing for your body. It's like your body just sings. It loves whatever's in beet juice, all the good iron that's in there. There we go. Now, that's two. I'll bring you back after I finish the third one. All right. Now, first, before I go any further, and just to make sure that I get everything into the pot, I'm going to cut the beets. I'm going to want to make sure you can see. I'm going to cut it in half, turn it half, and then each of the halves in half, and toss those into the pan. The color is beautiful. Okay, that goes into the pan. You can really do it from here. And I've laid down parchment mainly because after this is the chicken, and I want to keep my counter pretty sanitary. Okay, beets all but one. Let's get that last one in half. Okay, there we go. Done. They are into the pan, and that looks really good. So I'm going to put that into the sink so they can be washed. Now I have in my Ziploc bag my chicken that I have seasoned, and it is really, other than just kind of spreading it out, and I'm going to open it up. And what I like to do is just apply some pressure to it. Let me see if I can raise you up just a little bit. I want to apply some pressure to maybe get those bones to lay. And you know where the wishbone is, it just has a tendency to want to make that chicken curl up. So my chicken is laid out. I'm going to bring my pan over. And I want the skin side up. So you'll notice I've still got it in the bag. I'm going to take this, and voila, it is out of the bag that hung on that wishbone, and it's ready to go. There's my wings. They're good to go. Everything is nice and seasoned in there. So I'm going to take some of my seasoning and sprinkle the vegetables. Then I'm going to add a little more juice to it. Let me get that done, and I'll bring you back. All right, it's time to finish up the seasoning portion. I'm going to take some of my seasoning that I put together. Remember, that's the paprika, that's the salt, that's pepper, that's some red pepper flakes, and I actually sprinkled the chicken with that before it went into the refrigerator to thaw. I sprinkled that over my chicken because I wanted it to have a good flavor, and I wanted that flavor to soak in. So I'm just putting a tiny bit more on there just in case I missed a spot. Okay? Now, so that's done. That was probably about a teaspoon and a half because I didn't really have full teaspoons measured. Now, what we are going to do, we're going to take an orange. We're going to squeeze all of the orange juice over this. And we're going to put this in foil on a low oven to begin. And for about the first 30 minutes, it's going to be covered. Then the last 30 minutes, we're going to take it off and let it stay until this chicken is nice and brown. Okay, I've cut my oranges. I'm going to sprinkle, and I'm really concentrating on the vegetables. Really concentrating in there on them. I want that good orange juice on them as well as on the chicken itself. But I just want to squish and squish and squish. And then I'm going to lay the oranges in there. So a little squish over the chicken. Squish, 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 squish over the vegetables. And toss it into the side. I'll do the same with the rest of the orange. My purpose for dividing those oranges up, it takes a little more time, but I just don't have the real strength to squeeze that whole half orange and really get all of the juice out. So that's why I cut it a little smaller. It's just convenient for me. If you have a good grip and you can do that, then certainly save yourself the time. But that didn't work for me. I tried it. Yeah. Now these are navel oranges, and they're pretty juicy, really juicy, in fact. And so I am making sure the veins are out, and I just want juice. I want pure juice. Lots and lots. Now, you can also add wine. If you want to add white wine into the bottom of this pan, oh my goodness, I know it would be so good. I'm not sure I have any white wine. I know I have red, but I'm not sure about white. If I have some, then I'll throw that on there too. And remember, I haven't put any sugar. I'm thinking about a little brown sugar, and if I don't have any brown sugar, then guess what? It's just going to be a little sprinkle of regular sugar, whatever you have. You know, we have to cook with what we have in our kitchen. So this is what I got, and this is what I'm cooking with tonight. So our chicken is almost ready. That already smells wonderful. I'm rinsing my hands off over here, get them good and clean. I'm going to dry them, and I'm going to do a little sprinkling of something sweet. I have some sugar, and obviously I'm not going to use all of this sugar. I just want enough to sprinkle a little bit over the oranges and the fruit. A little bit over, because I want them to brown just a little bit as well. Just a little bit. And I'm going to add some salt and pepper to them. And, you know, I think I'm going to dab a little bit of butter, even though I have a little bit of sunflower oil in the bottom. But I'm going to dot them just a little bit with butter. Okay, I got the butter, and I'm just dotting a little bit here and there. Add a little more. I even put a little bit on top of my chicken. I think that's going to work out great. All right. This baby's ready to go into the oven for 40 minutes. See you at the end of 40. Now, are you ready? Look at this chicken. It is absolutely beautiful. Look at the vegetables, how they're just a little charred on the tips. There's lots of juice down in the bottom of the pan, and I am getting ready to serve this on the plate. We're going to have rice underneath. Put some rice that I've cooked in the center of the plate. And I'm going to break our chicken apart. Here's our leg. Oh, that's beautiful. Woo. Hot, hot, hot. Lay that on our rice. Put the vegetables on the plate. Scoot it over just a little bit so you can see. Need the right spoon because we don't want to waste any of those juices. Tip my pan. There we go. Now, Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served. What do you think? Looks pretty good. Good enough to eat. Well, I tell you what, guys, what a wild week. There's just so much this week that I want to show you that I'm actually going to have to divide this week's time in the kitchen in half for the week of May 20th. The second half is going to be more focused on the end of the week as well as Memorial Day. And then we'll kick in with a new session next week. So what that means is that there's going to be an extra upload this week, and I think you'll enjoy it. I have had a wonderful time in the kitchen. You can hear the dogs. I'm outside. The wind's blowing, and we have some construction that's going on that I'm looking at right behind us where they are going to be building new homes. And while that may sound exciting, it's very noisy and very dusty. So, needless to say, it's going to be an interesting summer. So, I am going to close out this part of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme in the kitchen. And I want to say to you that I hope that the first half of this week has been blessed. I hope that you've been able to spend time with your family each night. We're approaching the end of school, and so for those that are here where I am, they're going to be out of school this week. Woo-hoo! So when Memorial Day is over with, they are truly going to be vacationing, where those who are back in Virginia are still going to be going to school a couple more weeks. So let's enjoy every moment, and let's take the moment to thank God for our family. So I send you my blessings. I pray that your days are wonderful, and love on your family. And I'll see you in the kitchen.